Trust is the biggest thing, is that we always want to hold up our end of the bargain in the partnership. And we kind of feel bad if one of us feels like we're not doing that. We kind of have that self-motivation to be like, I think I'm not doing enough for Ryan, and I feel bad. So that allows me to say, you know what, I'll get this next task that we have to do. I'll hold up my end of the bargain.
So I want to talk about real estate, but also I think it's really interesting. I have a business partner and we've been investing for 18 years together. I've also heard from other people often ask, like, kind of an amazement, like, really, you have a business partner for that long? Because you hear so many horror stories about, partnerships will never work and that it's going to break up. And I actually had, I'm not going to name names, but I went to like a seminar my first year in real estate, and it was like a really well-known like teacher. And I had lunch with a guy, and he was like, well, tell me about yourself. What are you going to do? I was like, I got this business partner. We're going to start buying some properties together. I was like, green and brand new. He's like, that'll never work. They looked me right in the eyes, like, your partnership will be done in like a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's too bad. And 18 years later, I'm looking back like, no, it just worked out just fine. But so I'm curious for you guys, though. So we're going to talk about the details of your real estate business, but why did y'all decide to partner up together and do a real estate business together?
It's a great question. I can jump in because I had a similar story, Chad, about not a mentor of mine, but somebody I met who's very, very involved and very successful real estate investor. And he told me I've had 14 partnerships and they all failed. And he said this to me like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, well, mine's not gonna. So, but the reason that I don't think it will is because Ryan and I went to Temple University, where I can't believe we're 10 years out of college at this point, but, 7 years out.
Feels 10.
10 years since we started. Feels like 20, but, so we were roommates in college, and, we just kind of developed a bond, a relationship that we knew was more than just friends, but we just had a trust for each other. And the trust is the biggest thing, is that we always want to hold up our end of the bargain in the partnership. And we kind of feel bad if one of us feels like we're not doing that. We kind of have that self-motivation to be like, I think I'm not doing enough for Ryan, and I feel bad. So that allows me to say, you know what, I'll get this next task that we have to do. I'll hold up my end of the bargain. And I think that it really surrounds itself with trust and just knowing that if something goes wrong, cooler heads are going to prevail and that we'll figure it out. But I'll let Ryan dive in because I know he has a lot to say about that too.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's all built on trust. So my whole family, they're all entrepreneurs. My dad has two brothers. One has a construction business, one has a craning business, the other one has a paving business. And for me, I was like, I've always had the entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial mind, and like it's in my blood. So I'm like, I need to get involved in this somehow, and I want to have my own name stamped on something. But to dive all in on something by yourself is daunting at first. And Corey and I had kind of level heads in similar goals in life. And we talked about them through living together. And just I don't know if you have any friends like this, but you can only talk about certain things with certain people. Like, a lot of people don't understand real estate, passive income, and just wanting to lead a different life. Where Corey and I was like, wow, I kept going back to him. Like, we the stars align. We have the same conversations and same aspirations. So, for him, I was like, this is someone I'd be willing to go into a partnership with because of the trust. Now, I brought up my family because they all told me that partnerships aren't going to work. And I get it. I'm like, hey, listen, they didn't work for you. And I asked one of them specifically, I'm like, why didn't that partnership work for you? And he went into a bunch of different things. And he was like, well, I found out that he was like siphoning off some money on the side. And like, he thought I wasn't paying him enough. And he thought I made more than I actually did. I'm like, listen, sounds like you don't trust the guy. Sounds like he doesn't trust you. And it comes down to one thing. And I know, Corey, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's all based on trust. And, Corey seeing my bank statements, it's kind of strange. Social Security number, like, there's things that people shouldn't see. And I'm comfortable with him seeing them because I know he's got my back, and it's more of a brotherhood. So you don't find many people like that in life. So if you're lucky enough to do so, I think you'll be safe to go into business with them.
That's beautiful.
Chad, real quick, before
go for it.
Here after that lovely statement, because I appreciate what Rye's saying. And one other thing, and I think the reason is because like we're both starting out in the partnership and around the same level in our life, right? I think a lot of people get partners because one person's 50 years old and has the money, and the other person's the hustler, is 28, and they maybe grow in different directions. But Ryan and I, for the most part, Rye's married, I'm single, but we're in the same age bracket where our lives, we feel like, are going to grow in a similar direction. And if they don't, we'll be, men about it or whatever you want to say, and we'll be able to get out in it with an exit strategy. So.
Yeah, there's so many gems in there that I want to just highlight. Like the trust one. The trust one's the big one. And I think this applies beyond just partnerships too. I found when I'm working with real estate agents, when I'm working with closing attorneys, when I'm working with contractors, it's not always possible to get the level of trust you're going to have with a business partner, for example. But there's this book that you guys reminded me of. It's written by the son of Stephen Covey, who wrote the really famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Well, his son, another Stephen Covey, wrote the book, The Speed of Trust. And it's a really fascinating book because it talked about how, there's all these techniques people have in business and real estate, and all these things sound great. The BRRRR strategy and refinancing and buying deals, like those are all fun techniques, but all of them depend upon these relationships you have with people and having trust. And to the extent that you have really good trust with somebody, things move fast. I mean, you don't have to worry about watching their back. You're not watching them to make sure they're doing something they're not supposed to do. But if you don't trust each other, you're going to be bogged down in all sorts of details and systems. And so I find it fascinating. That's the first thing you say, because it was the same thing with me, with my business partner, is we started off just, this is a person. He was at my wedding. He's one of my groomsmen. He's somebody I would leave my keys with. I'd say, hey, can you go? There's money sitting on the bed. You're not worried about taking the money.
Right.
There are not many people in your life who are like that. But if you find somebody, number one, with that's helpful. The second thing I want to highlight, y'all said, was you have alignment with your future path. And there's no guarantee that y'all are going to 30 years from now still be in the same path. But that's important, because I know for my business partner and I, we had differences. He had a little bit more money than I did when we first started. He already had a job, but we had the same aspirations on where we're trying to go. And ultimately we had similar strategies. Like, for example, I wasn't big on, neither one of us were really big on syndicating and going out and getting third-party money and growing up to, $20, $30 million funds. Although we could have done that, we along the way, we found a lot of different places we had very similar kind of alignment. So to me, that's, there's no guarantees in life, but those are pretty good ingredients to start with to have a partnership based on that.
Yeah, and we started out with the business plan and saying, look, what did our next 10 years look like? And we decided that we know that we both want to be in the buy and hold rental game, because we feel like that's how you get to passivity, and that's how you could potentially, if you want to, leave your 9-to-5 job. Both of us happen to like what we do, but we want the option in the future, and we know we both want it. The fact that we both want it, we can go attack this together. And like you said, 50% of the issues are already cut out there by having the trust up front. So.
Let's talk about one more thing, about partnerships. I've always heard, and I agree with it, that having a division of labor, or knowing this is what I'm responsible for, this is what you're responsible for, not stepping on each other's toes, is kind of a helpful thing too. Do y'all have a system or approach y'all take to, hey, I got this, you got this? Like, can you talk about that a little bit more?
That's a really good question, and it's an everyday work in progress for us. I think one of the things that we do well is we know each other's skill sets. Some of our skill sets overlap. Like Ryan and I are both in the sales field, so we know that we're good at building relationships. And like I did the Strength Finder, so I kind of know where I fit in there. But I'm also myself pretty detailed in terms of the bookkeeping and the money and that type of thing. And Rye has full trust in me. We both do it. We both check up on each other. But like that is something that I've kind of taken upon myself to say, I know how to set up this system. I've done it in previous properties. And Rye's like, dude, I trust you no matter what. Like, take that and run with it. Where as the maintenance is more of like a split thing right now. So we set up a phone number where we can get text, and we can each handle it as they come in just based on our schedules. But there are some things in terms of property management that we need to split off a little bit better once we fully understand just how our skill sets parlay.
Right. And we're in the small multifamily, investment strategy type. So potentially down the line, we've talked about, okay, you'll have these 10 properties, all of these 10 properties, or we'll split the units. Right when we're small now, we're kind of working our way up and figuring out exactly how we're going to divide it. But when we started our LLC, you sign, put together an operating agreement and divvy out the tasks. And I think it can be ever changing. And also, Corey mentioned, like, I trust him with the money, but we also are not afraid to challenge each other and bring out new things. And it's like, if you're open, and there's 5 other programs that are probably better than what we're currently using, and we just adapt and we grow, and you find those. Specifically, we're going to start out, I just want to share an example of, we were going to use Google Voice for our phone system. And we found out that it can only go to one person. Like only one person was getting the text, one person was getting the calls. It's like not fair. And what's the point of making two numbers if we want to have everybody kind of involved in the same thing? So we found Open Phone. Corey actually found it. It's this awesome program. I think it's not, was it $9 a month?
Yeah, it's $9 a month. And you set up where it's hooked up to your email. We share the same phone number. We get the same text. And, you can see the responses. And that's how we're setting up our maintenance requests. And we learned that from a good friend, who's an investor too. But something like that where we just find and we adapt, and then the best part about having the partnership is then we can have the conversation. Like, do you think this works? I might, he might not. I say, you know what, you're right on this one. And then you can kind of make decisions from there as opposed to being stuck in making them yourself.
Thank you for watching this clip of the interview with Corey and Ryan. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. It helps us spread the word to others on YouTube. And I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. Have you ever used a partner in your real estate or other business? If you had any good experiences, I know some people have had some bad experiences. I'd love to hear from you and start a conversation there. And if you like more videos like this about real estate investing, financial independence, doing more of what matters, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss anything. We have new episodes that come out every single Friday. And if you like this video with an interview of others getting started in real estate and learning all the nitty-gritty details of how they're doing that, I think you'll like my playlist with other interviews from people in the real estate industry who are doing it just like you and sharing all of the insights about what's working and not working for them. So look for that playlist interview link either below, or you'll see it here in a moment above me there in the video. Thanks again for watching Coach Carson TV. My name is Chad Carson. You can call me Coach, and this is a channel all about investing in real estate, achieving financial independence, and doing more of what matters. See you next time.